Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Men TV. It is the player ratings after Liverpool beat Midtjylland by 2-0. This is the player ratings where you get to vote. So it's very, very easy to do. We will open a poll. Streambot will tell you in the chat when the poll is open. And then if you want to give, say, Alisson a 10 out of 10, you just need to type !vote space 10 and then press that enter button in the chat when the poll is open. There is a little bit of a help underneath. Alisson Becker vote is live right now. And again, you know, so good to have this man between the sticks because, you know, first of all, he makes a big save early on in the game for us from a ball over the top. But also it's that confidence that he sort of exudes confidence, doesn't he, throughout the game, and he allows us to play a high line, and we don't look as poor with a high line because of Alisson and his positioning. So you know what I mean, again, it's for me, it's just you can't put a value on what Alisson gives us. It's just massive, and you know, I can see a lot of votes coming in. A lot didn't register, to be honest with you. I don't know why. We're having a few technical issues, so if you can vote again, please, that would be absolutely brilliant. I can see a lot of votes have come in for 8s and 9s actually, which I'm a little bit surprised about. So I'm going to leave my vote till right at the end. I would say probably got a 7 or an 8 out of 10 personally. There's only a couple of seconds left. He got an 8 out of 10. I think I'd probably go more of a 7 personally, but an 8 out of 10, it is what it is. Does make that big save. We're going to go to Trent Alexander-Arnold now, and the vote is actually open. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, for me, listen, what we saw from him tonight was much more of what we expect to see week in, week out. And, you know, Trent Alexander-Arnold, you know, sets up a goal for a start, gets an assist for that, but it's a 1-2 with Shaqiri, isn't it? It's the endeavour to get into the box after he's played that ball to Shaqiri, times his run beautifully, whips that ball across really unselfishly to Diogo Jota to put us 1-0 up. But also, you know, the ball early on in the game for Minamino, that was one of Trent's brilliant balls. The ball to Mo Salah where he runs on and wins the penalty, that was slides rule, wasn't it? It was 40 yards along the floor in between the centre half and the left back, and Mo Salah just runs onto it, takes the ball in stride, goes and wins a penalty. That's exactly what we're looking to see from Trent Alexander-Arnold on a more regular basis, and he was just playing further up the pitch today, and that was great to see as well. I think he was my man of the match regardless, so I'm really interested to find out, and you guys have given him a 9 out of 10. And I'm going to put my man of the match on there as well, because I think he was absolutely superb tonight. We've opened the poll for Fabinho next. Now, he only plays, I think it's just under half an hour, and he looked okay, he looked fine. I don't think we were having too many problems. Obviously, that ball over the top early on caused us a bit of an issue. And it maybe, yeah, it was too easy for Midtjylland to get in there, but he looked like he was up for the challenge tonight, and I'd be surprised if he gets more than, well, I won't say, I'll leave it till the end, but other than that, I think, yeah, he looked sound, isn't it? And the concern really isn't about his performance, it's about what the Liverpool do in the next game. Is Joe Matip going to be fit? Is Henderson going to drop back and play that centre-back role? Something like that. If Matip's not fit, I'd guess that will be the case. Could you see Nat Phillips? Because I don't think Nat Phillips is registered in the Champions League squad. Obviously, we saw him on the bench at the weekend, so maybe Nat Phillips slots in there, but it depends on injuries to midfielders. If Thiago's back, Henderson might be afforded that time to go in and play at centre half. I think he should be getting somewhere around the 6 out of 10 Fabinho, nothing more or less than that. And the vote has finished, and he gets a 6 with 42% of the vote. Well done, everybody. I think you've got that one absolutely spot on. Joe Gomez poll is live right now, and listen, I think it'd be very easy to remember the time when he got skinned at the end and they nearly equalised. But other than that, I think he was good. I think he was really good, actually. And again, he's stepped up in the absence of Virgil van Dijk here. And yeah, the defender beat him, but I always think the striker beat him. But I actually think the striker was always in a position to beat him there if he goes round him. I don't think he was ever in a position whereby he could have won that ball. Yes, he gets sent for the echo, and thankfully he tries to chip Alisson and misses. But other than that, I think he won his headers. I think his position was well. He clearly has talked Reese Williams through the game there, because, you know, when Reese came on, he was all right, and we'll talk about him later on. So for me, I'd probably be somewhere around the 7 or an 8 out of 10. I can see actually 44% of the vote is a 7 so far, 37 is an 8. Will there be a late run from 8? It doesn't look like it. It looks like a 7 out of 10 for Joey Gomez, which I think is absolutely fine for him. And then we'll open the poll up for Andrew Robertson right now. And Andy Robertson, again, just much like what we've expected to see all season long, or what we've seen all season long, really, is, that ability to come forwards. But again, he does that sort of crossfield run as well. And he's just a constant thorn in the sides. It must wick you off if you're a right winger or a right back to just see Andy Robertson running full pelt at you with the ball at his feet over and over again. You must think he's going to get tired at some point. He never tires. He just keeps on going. He's like a frigging Duracell bunny, isn't he? And when he got the ball at his feet, he's absolutely brilliant. And he's always looking to play little 1-2s and asking questions of defenders, going the way that they probably don't want to go, and certainly the questions of the midfielders going the way that he wants to go. And again, for me, he's somewhere around 7 or an 8, probably more towards an 8 out of 10, I'd say, Robertson. So I'm interested to see what you guys think. But again, I keep saying it, he's been the player of the season so far, and he's been Mr. Consistent. He's playing at that level of like 8s and 9s out of 10, week in, week out at the moment. The vote has now finished, and he's got an 8 out of 10. Andy Robertson, absolutely spot on again. Henderson's open. The poll is open for the captain, Jordan Henderson, who was withdrawn at half-time for Gini Wijnaldum. And quite a surprising substitution, to be honest with you. But it looked like one of those ones where that was always going to be the case. It always looked like, it feels certainly not like it was an injury, because there was a worry because he was fouled and he went down. At the end of the first half, but I don't think the midfield played well tonight. I certainly don't think the midfield played well first half, and I was a little unsure for so long about what formation we were actually playing. Was it Henderson and Milner like that, with Shaqiri sort of over here? I mean, it felt more 4-3-3, to be honest with you, but it's difficult. And again, probably more sort of a little bit more like that maybe. And Henderson, I don't think he was outstanding tonight. I think he was one of the better players in the first half. I'd be surprised if he got higher than a 7. I'd be surprised if he got lower than a 7 as well. I know the vote's coming to an end right now. I can see votes have come in for 7s and 6s. Yeah, I'd be shocked if he got higher than a 7. I think 7's probably a right to call for Jordan Henderson there. So he does get a 7 out of 10, which is absolutely superb. We've opened the poll now for James Milner, so you can get your votes coming in for James Milner. Actually, it will be just a second before the James Milner one is up on the screen. When it comes up on the screen and the stream bot guy says in the chat that you can then vote, please do vote after that. We're still having a few struggles. You can't find James Milner. You just can't find him. You just can't find him. But he's there. He's live right now, James Milner. So please, if you voted for James Milner once, vote again, because you can't register more than one vote anyway. So if you're unsure, just vote again. Mr. Consistent, he always picks up a yellow card, and he's done that once again tonight. So he's nothing if not consistent. And yes, in the middle of the park we didn't look great, and I've already talked about that with Jordan Henderson, but he provided a level of comfort for us, didn't he? He never goes missing, he never shakes responsibility, he always applies himself, he always gives 110%, and that's exactly what you get out of James Milner over and over again. He had a better second half, I thought, than the first half. I think the whole team had probably a little bit of a better second half than first half. We looked just a little bit disjointed, I suppose the right word is, first half, and James Milner was maybe part of that. 10 seconds left of the vote now. I'd be surprised if he got more than a 7 again. I think he's probably on for a 6 or a 7, maybe more towards the 7 out of 10 because of his second half performance. And I can see now that the vote is closing, and with 48% of the vote, James Milner does indeed get a 7 out of 10. Shaqiri is live. We could find Shaqiri. He's little, but I could find him. And Shaqiri, I don't know where he was playing. I think it was the right of a midfield 3. I think he had a poor first half. But for me, he changed the game with that ball to Trent Alexander-Arnold. When he plays that ball in, you can see his body is positioned in such a way that the defenders are thinking the ball's going that way, and he sort of plays it blind into an area where he thinks Trent Alexander-Arnold will be, because he saw him start that run. The ball is absolutely sublime. Adam Lallana said it. I was listening to some of the stuff after the game on BT, and he just said he's got a wonderful left foot, and when he's in those areas, he can unlock a defence. When he gets into these sort of areas behind the striker, Shaqiri can do that. So for me, a poorer first half than second, and because of that, I'd give him a 7 personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are giving him somewhere between a 7 and an 8 out of 10, because that ball is absolutely magic. 7 just edges it, 35% of the votes, only 3 votes in it, incredibly close actually for Shaqiri there. We're going to open up the poll now for Minamino. Now Taki, he comes in, he starts probably, the front 3 was mad, wasn't it, because they were all swapping positions throughout the first half, and at times it was Divock on the right, and at times it was Minamino on the right, and they just they just played like three lads who hadn't played together before, to be quite honest with you. And Taki Minamino, I don't think he's done himself. I don't think he's put in a performance there where you're thinking, oh, he's knocking on the door for Bobby's position. I just don't see that that's it. I think I'd be shocked if he got more than a 6 out of 10. I don't think he was probably worth a 5 out of 10. It was a pretty average performance from Minamino, and he just looked a bit lost, didn't he? And you know, he probably should have scored with that ball from Trent early on in the first half. He couldn't. He jumps in the air and tries to hit it left-footed. He has a decent header on the edge of the box, but he's probably never favoured to score from 18 yards out with a header. Yeah, it's just kind of one of them, really, wasn't it? I don't think the front three first half were all a little bit average, and I think Jota then picks it up second half, and obviously he's going to get a goal, and we're going to open the vote up for him soon. But Minamino does indeed get a 6 out of 10. I think you've got that one spot on as well. So we're going to open the poll up for Jota now, a lad who has now scored Liverpool's 10,000th goal, which is incredible. I mean, everyone thought it was going to be Divock, but it ended up being Diogo Jota. Again, first half, you know, he wasn't playing on that left-hand side, he was playing on the right-hand side and a bit up front and all that. And it wasn't until the second half when he played on that left-hand side that you really saw a little bit more of him. You see that mazy run a couple of times, and you know, he just the word I keep using to describe Diogo Jota is a live wire. But the thing that I noticed when Liverpool were in the market for Jota, and obviously I'd seen Wolves last season and stuff a few times, and when I went back and watched more of him in the area and scoring goals for Wolves and stuff like that, one thing I kept noticing time and time again is he was always at the back stick, he was always in space, and it was always a dead easy cross. What you might call a sweaty goal in FIFA or Pro Evo or whatever. And Jota's brilliant at finding space there. And again, he's ghosted into an area whereby he can finish it with ease. And he's done exactly that again. 8 out of 10, absolutely spot on for Diogo Jota. And now we're going to get on to... We'll go on to Divock Origi next. I don't know, man. I really like Divock Origi. I think there's a football player in there, clearly, and we've seen time and time again when he's put on that red shirt that he's done special things for us in special moments. But tonight, not that I don't think he was the worst player on the pitch. Again, it was just a really, really average performance from Divock, and we weren't really playing to his strengths. There was a couple of times early on when he overplayed it and tried to take on a man too many times. Looked like he was trying to get a shot off instead of feeding someone in. Never really got the ball out from under his feet and stuff. And again, it doesn't help him. He's a centre forward. He's not a left winger. He's not a right winger. He shouldn't. I don't think he really should be asked to play those positions. Certainly not in this type of a game. And when we saw him up front, he was all right. Again, he's not knocking on the door, is he? And I can see votes coming in for 4s, and he gets a 5. And I maybe think that's a touch harsh, personally. I think he's probably more around the 6 out of 10, but I understand it. And it's the point, isn't it? It's supposed to be the wisdom of crowds and stuff, isn't it? We're going to open the vote up for Reese Williams next. And Reese Williams, obviously, he comes in a very tough, again, his second Champions League game now, isn't it? And he comes in once more. This time, he's got a much bigger ask. He's got to fill Fabinho's shoes, and he's got to do a full 60 minutes in a Champions League tie. And the biggest compliment that I can give Reese Williams tonight is I didn't really notice him there, and he just seemed absolutely fine. And so I think, personally, and I didn't want to get my vote or skew the vote in any way, because it was a comment that we got last time out saying they would think my views might be skewing the vote. I personally think he probably played at around about a 7 out of 10, but coming in that type of a game, in a Champions League game, and playing 60 minutes and doing everything right, probably deserves slightly more than a 7 out. I think if it was any other player, I'd give him a 7 out of 10 for that performance. But, you know, maybe you're knocking up a mark to an 8 out of 10. Or maybe you just keep up what you've been doing every single time, and that's giving a substitute a 10. And you have given him a 10 again. Fair play. Love it. This is the thing now, isn't it? Brilliant. So Salah will open the vote up for next. Obviously, gets a goal on the night, and the Salah poll is now open. Gets a goal on the night. We instantly looked a better side for having Mo Salah on the pitch. Duh. Of course we're going to look a better side. He's one of the top players in world football. And again, as soon as he comes on there, he just looks dangerous. He gets that ball and he starts making those runs in behind. Liverpool, all of a sudden, everywhere seem to just lift themselves a little bit. And why wouldn't you? You got Mo Salah there, and Trent Alexander-Arnold plays that ball in. The one for Salah where he wins the penalty, and it's an absolutely brilliant ball, yes. But Salah leads him with the run. Salah times his run to perfection, gets the ball, gets into the box, is fouled, just maybe a bit of a soft penalty. I actually think he should have probably played the ball to Bobby Firmino. Then he steps up for the penalty, doesn't he? He does that mad little run where he runs back, runs over there, and absolutely smashes the ball into the back of the net. I think he deserves an 8 out of 10. So I'm interested. I can see 7s, 8, 9s, even a couple of 10s coming in there. But it does look like he's got an 8 out of 10 with 48% of the vote. I've skipped Genie, haven't I? Sorry, mate. I did skip Genie. So let's open the poll up for Genie Wijnaldum next, then, if you don't mind, Si. That's my bad, mate. Sorry about that. So Genie's live. It came in, it looked like a substitution that was planned. It looked like a game share, minute share sort of substitution with Jordan Henderson. And he come in and he looked solid and he did everything that you'd expect of a Genie Wijnaldum performance. He didn't really give you too much going forward, but he gave a decent little base for the midfield. And I do think the midfield played much better in the second half, whether that was more to do with a personnel change later on in the half or whether Genie was able to sort of settle it. I'm not 100% sure. I think I gave Hendo a 7. I'd probably give Genie around about the same mark as Jordan. I don't think he was worse. I think he was probably about the same, to be honest with you. And we've got 2 more after this, actually, haven't we? I do want to keep the poll open, if you don't mind, Si, just for Mane and Bobby, because I think there are a couple of little things to talk about with them. We've got just a few seconds left of the poll now for Genie Wijnaldum, and it looks like he gets a 7 out of 10 with nearly 60% of the votes, so that's decent. We're going to open up the poll next for Sadio Mane next. He's sound, isn't he, really? Sadio, we know what you're going to get from him. A couple of really nice runs with the ball at his feet, driving into the penalty area. And maybe you could say that he overplayed it at times. I don't think there's too many talking points around Sadio Mane. I think it's probably somewhere 6, probably more towards a 7 out of 10. But yeah, again, we just looked a better side for having him on the pitch and for having Mo Salah on the pitch. And yeah, so I think we just look a slightly better side with Mane on there tonight. And again, I can see votes coming in now. There's a 5 coming. There's 3 votes of a 5 so far come in for Mane. I think that's a bit harsh. We've got votes for 6 out of 10. We've got votes for 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 votes for 10 out of 10. Oh, another one coming in for 5 from Raif Dakin. So there we go. We've got just a few seconds left. It looks to me like 7's got an unassailable lead, and Sadio Mane gets a 7 out of 10. And the final poll of the evening, therefore, is Roberto Firmino. We're going to open the poll up right now. That poll is live. And Roberto Firmino should have put the game to bed. You know, when Gomez was skinned and that fella tried to dink it over Alisson, it was after Bobby Firmino's big miss, and the ball's played back to him, I think, actually, again, by Trent Alexander-Arnold, thinking about it. And he's there. He's right in front of the net. And he skies it, and I just don't think he was pressured. Maybe the ball bobbled. I saw in the comments. I didn't think that it bobbled, but I saw in some of the YouTube comments saying, no, the ball bobbled beforehand. I think with a player of Bobby Firmino's ability, he should be putting that ball in the back of the net. And, you know, for me, I don't think he was... When we brought Salah and Mane on, I think you noticed the difference. When we brought Bobby Firmino on, I don't think we noticed too much of an upturn in Liverpool's form or play or whatever you want. And again, there's about 10 seconds left of the vote now. I'd personally be giving him a 6 out of 10. I don't know what's going on with Bobby, but he just doesn't seem to have that magic at the moment, does he? And there you go. We've got a 6 out of 10 for Bobby Firmino to round it off. So I think we've got the votes right there. I think maybe a touch harsh on Divock Origi, maybe a touch nice to Reese Williams. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold was the man of the match. Obviously, he gets that goal. He gets that assist and a couple of really great balls in. So there you go. I think we've done a good job there. I've enjoyed doing the player ratings once again. Thank you to everybody who's voted. It's been an absolute pleasure. Me and Paul will be back very, very shortly with the instant match reaction, of course. Give us about 5 minutes. And yeah, we'll be over there and we'll dive into the game in a little bit more depth and detail this evening after Liverpool. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. And we'll see you over on the IMR in just a few minutes' time.